Hey everyone, welcome to my video on cloud bread. It's really easy to make. You need the right vessel to do that though. And I use these chili bowls. I think I got them at Pure One Imports. About 4 inches deep and maybe a little bit wider across. And they've got kind of a thick wall to them, so they retain heat really well. You're going to need some basic ingredients, butter, as well as almond flour and baking powder and some eggs. And for this recipe I'm using mozzarella cheese. It gives a really good flavor, and you can also do this with cream cheese, and I've got another video using cream cheese. So you're going to need about 2 tablespoons of butter, which is about this much off of a block, and then you need to melt that to get it to at least room temperature. But I keep room temperature butter around, and I happen to have about 2 tablespoons right here in my butter belt. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the almond flour to that kind of room temperature butter. You're going to add 2/3 of a cup almond flour. And then the mozzarella cheese. Really important to use mozzarella. You're going to need 1/2 cup of this. The mozzarella gives kind of a glutinous, chewy texture to the bread. Cream cheese lends more of a cake-like texture to the bread. So for the purpose of this one, I'm making these kind of like English muffins, use mozzarella. I'm going to go ahead and put in some baking soda. I use 1/2 teaspoon for this recipe. And then about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm using Himalayan pink sea salt. And we're going to mix this up, and we're going to try and mash the butter and the flour and the mozzarella together. And then we're going to add 1 egg. And then continue to incorporate and get that kind of like a dough, wet dough, sticky dough. I'm going to take a rubber spatula and scrape down the sides so that it's fairly clean on the edges like this. And you'll see the depth is about halfway full. Into the microwave. I do 3 minutes and 30 seconds at 80% power. And it comes out really nice. It raises almost to the top. Now, be careful, it's pretty hot. You want to let it rest for a little while. I could have waited longer, but I was anxious to show you all what this looks like. And I just gently separate it from the edges. Really don't need a sharp knife. You can use a butter knife or even just tap it a little in it, and it should come right out. Again, that's because I started with the butter in there. There you go. The texture is really nice. It rises nicely. It's spongy and has a mouthfeel like a yeast bread, a lot like English muffin. So I like to, for this particular vessel that I use, I like to cut these in half. And at that point, you could maybe use that for a hamburger bun. But I find for the purposes of breakfast sandwiches, what I use these for, I go ahead and cut them in half again. Really nice texture. And they are relatively delicate and easier to cut when they're warm. They will dry pretty quickly. So I put these in the freezer with egg on them and vacuum seal them and take them to work. They're awesome.